right. So much to do, I don't know where to start. New maids for the morning and all these guests arrive in 2 days.
Oh, calm down, Ethel. Everything's shipshape now. Looks nice, don't it, Franny?
Looks enough for me. Kind of bare, but rich folks like this fair, it seems.
Rich folks is queer.
He was a queer sort of gentleman. Built this whole place up. Spent a wicked lot of money on it. Gets tired of it and puts the whole thing up for sale.
Beats me why the Owens wanted to buy it, living on an island.
Oh, come off it, Ethel, and take all that stuff out into the kitchen. They'll be here any minute now.
Maybe that's cheap clam excuse for drink, I suppose. Like some others I know.
That'll be young, Jim. I'll be getting along. This should gentlemen arrive by car, I understand?
I shall want at least 5 loaves in the morning, 8 pints of milk, remember.
Right.
Don't forget the oil for the engine, Franny. I ought to charge up tomorrow, or I'll have the lights running down.
12's up on the railway station. I'll bring it first thing tomorrow.
And give a hand with the luggage, will you?
Right.
I forgot to give you a list of guests, Tom.
Thanks, old girl. Doesn't look a very classy lot to me. Miss Claythorne. She'll probably be the secretary.
I don't hold much with secretaries, worse than hospital nurses, and them giving themselves airs and graces and looking down on the servants.
Oh, stop grousing, Ethel, and cut along to that lovely update. Expensive kitchen of yours?
Too many newfangled gadgets for my fancy.
So, this is it?
Oh, perfectly lovely.
Miss Claythorne.
You are Rogers.
Yes, good evening, miss.
Good evening, Rogers. May you take mine and Captain Lombard's luggage up with you?
Very good, miss.
So, you've been here before?
No, but I've heard a lot about the place.
From Mr. and Mrs. L.
No, old Johnny Brewer, a pal of mine, built this place. It's a sad and poignant story.
A love story.
Yep, it's the most tragic of all. Johnny was a wealthy old boy, fell in love with the famous Lily Logan, married her, bought this island and built this whole place for her.
Well, it sounds most romantic.
Poor Johnny. He thought by locking her up here, without even a telephone as means of communication, that he could hold her.
And of course, the fair lady tired of her Eiffel Tower and escaped.
Uh-huh. Johnny went back to Wall Street, made a few more millions, and the place was sold.
Well, that's that. I have to go find Mrs. L and the others will be here any minute.
It would be very rude to leave me here all by myself.
Would it? Well, I wonder where she is then.
She'll come along when she's ready. In the meantime, do you think I could have a drink? I'm very dry.
Oh, of course.
Certainly warm after that steep climb. What's yours?
Oh, no thank you, not on duty.
A good secretary is never off duty.
Really, this is exciting.
What?
All this, the smell of the beach, the gulls, and this lovely house. I'm going to enjoy myself.
I think you are. I think we both are. Here's to you. You're very lovely.
Oh, Rogers, where is Mrs. Owen?
Mr. and Mrs. Owen won't be down until tomorrow, miss. I thought you knew.
Tomorrow, but...
I've got a list here of the guests expected, miss, if you would like to have it. The second boatload's just arriving now.
Thank you, how awful. I say you'll be sweet and help me, won't you?
I will move from your side.
Thank you. It seems silly to have brought us in the first boat and the rest in the second.
That, I'm afraid, was design, not accident.
Design? What do you mean?
I convinced the boatman there's no need to wait for the other passengers to arrive. Betting 5 shillings soon start out the engine.
You shouldn't have done that.
Well, they're not a very exciting lot, aren't they?
I thought the young man was rather nice looking.
Callow, definitely callow, and very, very young.
I suppose you think a man in his 30s is more attractive than...
Oh, I don't think, my darling. I know.
What's the place you guys got here?
Oh, hello, I'm Miss Owen's secretary. Miss Owen, I'm afraid, has been detained in London. She won't be down until tomorrow.
Oh, too bad.
In the meantime, can I introduce you to Captain Lombard, Mr.
Marston. Anthony Marston.
Care for a drink?
Yes, why thank you.
What do you fancy? Gin, whiskey, sherry?
Whiskey, I think.
Wonderful place you have here.
I'm Miss Owen's secretary. Miss Owen, I'm afraid, has been detained in London, and she won't be down until tomorrow.
Say when.
Whiskey.
How are you?
How are you? My name's Lombard. Care for a drink, Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
Mr. Davis? Mr. Marston.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Marston. Don't mind if I do, Mr. Lombard.
I say, a bit of a stiff climb up here, but whew, what a view, and what a height.
Reminds me of South Africa, this place.
Oh, really? What part?
Oh, Natal, Durban, you know.
Really?
Well, here's the temperance. Do you know South Africa?
Me? No.
That's my natal state.
Interesting country, I should think.
Finest country in the world, sir. Gold, silver, diamonds, oranges. All the man could ask for. Talk about land flowing with beer and skittles.
How do you do?
General Mackenzie, isn't it? I'm Miss Owen's secretary. Miss Owen, I'm afraid, has been detained in London, and she won't be down until tomorrow. May I introduce you to Mr. Lombard, Mr. Marston, and Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
Whiskey and soda, sir?
Thanks. You in the service?
Formerly in the King's African Rifles, sir. Too tame for me during peacetime. I chucked it.
Pretty. What?
Where is Mrs. Owen?
Oh, Miss Brent, isn't it? I'm Miss Owen's secretary, and Miss Owen, I'm afraid, has been detained in London, and
It
she
won't
won't
be
be
down
down until
until
tomorrow.
Indeed. Extraordinary. Did she miss the train?
I expect so. Won't you have something? May I introduce Mr. Mackenzie, Mr. Lombard, Mr. Marston, and Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name. May I take your case?
Do let me make you a drink. A dry martini, a glass of sherry, whiskey and soda.
I never touch alcohol.
You never touched alcohol?
I suppose you know, young man, that you left us standing there on the wharf?
I must apologize for that, Miss Brent. That was my fault. I wanted to.
It seems to me most extraordinary that Mrs. Owen not be here to receive her guests.
Maybe she's just a type of person who can't help missing trains.
That's what I reckon she is.
Not at all. Mrs. Owen isn't the least like that.
Perhaps it was her husband's fault.
She hasn't got a husband. I should like to go to my room, please.
Of course, I shall take you there.
You'll find Mrs. Rogers upstairs, miss. She shall show you the room.
I'm sorry, sir, but our host and hostess haven't arrived yet. My name's Lombard.
Bonjour, how do you do?
How do you do? Care for a drink?
Yes, please. A whiskey.
Hello, Davis. Davis is the name. I say, quite a wonderful place you have here. Quite unique.
As you say, quite unique.
Oh, your drink, sir.
Well, Bachelor Berkeley will look at.
Who did you say?
Bachelor Berkeley. He wrote me in for the show. When's he coming?
I don't think he is coming. Nobody of the name of Berkeley.
The dirty old double-crosser. Why, he's let me down. Well, it is a pretty wizard island anyways. Rather a wizard girl, that secretary. She often liven things up a bit. I say, old man, how about getting dressed for Nerf this time?
Let's go and explore.
How wizard?
Things are a bit at 6s and 7s with the Owens not turning up.
Tricky what? I said wizard place for a holiday, what?
Aren't you going to have a seat?
Well, to tell you the truth, you seem to be in my chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were part of the family.
It's not that, exactly. To tell you the truth, I've never been here. You see, I live at the Medicine Club. I have for the past 10 years. My seat is just about there. I can't get used to sitting anywhere else.
Comes a bit of a habit.
Yes, it certainly does. Thank you. Oh, it's a nice chair. It's not quite good at one of the clubs, but it's a nice one. To tell you the truth, I was a bit surprised when I got this invitation. I haven't had anything kind of alone in 4 years. Nice of them, I thought.
Shall I take your keys, sir?
Is Lady Constance coming to extracted? Can you tell me?
Lady Constance Comington. I don't believe so, sir, unless she's coming down with Mr. and Mrs. Owen.
Oh,
Allow me, sir. Shall I take your keys, sir?
No thanks, I'll unpack for myself,
Dinner is at 8 o'clock, sir. Shall I show you to your room?
please.
Here you are, sir. I'll call Rogers.
Hello, Davis. Davis is the name.
Mine's Armstrong.
Dr. Armstrong? forget a face.
Oh, don't tell me I forgot one of our patients.
Oh, no, nothing like that. I saw you in court once giving extra evidence.
Oh, really? Are you interested in the law?
Well, I'm from South Africa, you see. Naturally, legal processes in a country like this would interest a colonial.
Ah, yes, of course.
Care for a drink?
No thanks. I've never touched it.
Do you mind if I do? Mine's empty.
Not at all.
I've been having a look around the island. Quite a wonderful place.
Ah, yes, very wonderful. I thought as I was passing through the main gates, what a haven of peace this was.
Ah, too peaceful for some, I dare say.
Wonderfully restful. Restful for the nerves. I'm a nerve specialist, you know.
I know. Did you come down by train?
No, I motored down. Dropped in on a patient. Great improvement, wonderful response.
That's the best part of 200 miles. How long did it take you?
I didn't hurry. I never hurry. Some mannerless young fellow shot past me about 80 miles near Amesbury. Nearly drove me into a ditch. Disgraceful bit of driving. I'd have loved to have had his number.
Yes. And if only more people will take the numbers of these road hogs.
Yes, now, if you'll excuse me, I must have a word with Mr. Owen.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Owen isn't actually coming down until...
You rang, sir.
Yes, Rogers. Take my hat, will you?
Yes, sir.
What time's supper?
Dinner's at 8 o'clock, sir. In a quarter of an hour. I think tonight's dressing may be optional.
Got a good place here.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Been here long?
Just under a week, sir.
Is that all? So you wouldn't know much about the crowd that's here?
No, sir.
All old friends of the family?
I really couldn't say, sir.
Oh, Rogers, could you put some sandwiches and a couple bottles of beer in my room at night? I get a hell of an appetite with this sea air.
I'll see what I can do, sir.
I'll see you won't lose by it. Can you show me to my room?
I shall show you, sir.
Thank you. I could do with a wash and brush up straight away.
Oh, there you are, Rogers. You ought to help me clear these dirty glasses. You're always leaving the dirty work to me. Here I am with a 4-course dinner on my hands, and no one to help me. You might come and give me a hand with the dishing up. Who is that you were talking to, by the way?
Davis, South African gentleman. No class, if you ask me. No money either.
I don't like them. Don't like any of them much. More than a lot we had at the boarding house, I'd say.
Davis gives out that he's a millionaire or something. You should see his underwear. Cheap as they'll make 'em.
Well, as I said, it's not treating us right. All these guests arriving today, and the maid's not coming till tomorrow. What do you think we are?
Now then. Anyway, the money's good.
So it ought to be. Catch me going into services again unless the money was good.
Well, it is good. So what are you going on about?
Well, I can tell you this, Rogers. I'm not staying any place where I'm put upon. Cooking's my business. I'm a good cook.
First rate, old girl.
But the kitchen's my place, and housework's none of my business. All these guests, I've got a good mind to put my hat and coat on and walk straight back to Plymouth.
You can't do that, old girl.
Why not? Who says I can't? I should like to know.
Because you're on an island, old girl. Have you forgotten that?
Yes, and I don't mind fancy being on an island.
I don't know that I do either. No, slipping down to a pub or going to the pictures? Oh well, it's double wages on account of the difficulties, and there's plenty of beer in the house.
That's all you ever think about, beer.
Now, stop your nagging. You get back to the kitchen or your dinner will be spoilt.
It'll be spoiled anyway, I expect. Everybody's going to be late, wasted on them. Thank goodness I didn't make a souffle. Oh, dinner won't be a minute, miss. Just a question of dishing up.
Everything will be all right, Rogers. Can you manage between the two of you?
Yes, thank you, miss. The missus talks a lot, but she gets it done.
Oh, what a lovely evening.
Yes, indeed.
How plainly one can hear the sea.
A pleasant sound.
Hardly a breath of wind and deliciously warm, not like England at all.
I would have thought that you might have felt a little uncomfortable in that dress.
Oh, no.
It's rather revealing, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
You'll excuse me, my dear, but you're a young girl and you've got your living to earn.
Yes.
You see, a well-bred woman doesn't like her secretary to appear flashy. It looks as though you're trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex.
And would you say I do attract them?
That's beside the point.
hide an awful lot.
You're very pertinent.
I'm sorry, that's just what I think.
The world will never improve until we stamp out immodesty.
Quite pathological.
What was that?
Nothing.
Say, what about the old boy?
He looks rather tortoise-like, don't you think?
All judges look like tortoises. They have that venomous way of darting their heads in and out. Mr. Justice Wargrave is no exception.
I hadn't realized he was a judge.
Oh, sure he is. Why, he's probably been more responsible for sending more innocent people to their death than anyone else in England. Hello, do you two know each other? Miss Claythorne, Mr. Armstrong. Mr. Armstrong and I were just discussing how the old
Yes, I heard you, and so did he, I believe.
Sir Lawrence?
Miss Prentice edition.
Yes, there was something I wanted to ask you. Will you come with me out here?
Remarkably quite nice.
Absolutely wizard car. A supercharged sports car, Letty Carlotta. You don't see many of them on the road these days. I can get about 100 out of her.
Did you come from London?
Yes, 208 miles, and I did it in a bit over 4 hours. Too many cars on the road to keep it up, though. I touched 90 over Salisbury Plain. Not too bad, eh?
I think you passed me on the road.
Oh, yes.
You nearly drove me into a ditch.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
If I'd have had your number, I'd have reported you.
But you were fiddling along in the middle of the road.
Footling me?
Oh, what about a drink?
Great idea. Will you have Miss Claythorne?
Oh, no, thank you.
Good evening, Mrs. Owen.
Why, Mrs. O?
Because you make the most attractive wife for any wealthy businessman.
Do you always flirt so outrageously?
Always.
Well, now we know.
Say, do you know what Miss Brunch tried to talk to the judge about? I overheard her trying to buttonhole him upstairs earlier.
I don't know. Funny, she seems so definite that there wasn't a Mr. Owen.
You mean, Mrs. Owen, that there isn't, that they are?
What, married, you mean?
You know, it's a damn shame we don't know each other. I could have given you a lift down.
Oh, yes, that would have been grand.
I'd like to show you what I can do across Salisbury Plain. Tell you what, maybe we could ride out together.
Oh,
But it seems damn silly. I mean, I've got an empty car.
Yes, but she likes the way she's going back, and she's
Oh, aren't they sweet? Those China soldiers? Oh, and there's a nursery rhyme.
What are you talking about? What figures? What nursery rhyme?
10 little soldier boys going out to dine. One choked his little self and then there were 9. 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One got left
Ladies
behind.
and gentlemen, silence, please. You are charged with these indictments, that you did respectively and at diverse times commit the following. Edward Armstrong, that you did cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. William Henry Bloor, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor. Emily Carolyn Brent, that you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that you killed Peter Ogilvie Hamilton. Philip Lombard, that you were guilty of the deaths of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that you sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Marston, that you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
She'll be all right now. She's passed out, that's all. She'll be around in a minute. Somebody get some brandy.
Rogers, get some brandy.
Who was that speaking? It sounded like...
What's going on here? What kind of practical joke was that?
And where the devil did that voice come from? Ah, here we are.
A disgraceful and heartless practical joke it is.
You think it's a practical joke, do you?
What else could it possibly be?
At this moment, I'm not prepared to give an opinion.
Who the devil turned it on instead of going?
We mustn't fire into it.
Oh dear me. Oh dear me.
Allow me, sir, if I am to speak to her. Ethel, it's all right. All right, do you hear? Pull yourself together.
You'll be all right now, Mrs. Rogers. Just a nasty turn. That's all.
Did I faint, sir?
Yes.
It was that voice, the awful voice, like a judgment.
Where is that, Brandy?
Here, doctor.
Thank you. Here, Miss Rogers.
It was that voice, the awful voice, like a judgment.
Give me a turn to wicked lies it was.
Who was it that put the gramophone on? Was it you, Rogers?
I was just obeying orders, sir.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owens.
Make this quite clear. Mr. Owen's orders were what, exactly?
I was to put a record on the gramophone. I found the records in the drawer there. I was to start with that one, sir. I thought it was just to give you all some music.
A remarkable story.
It's the truth, sir. Before heaven, it's the truth. I had no idea what it was, not for a moment. Had a name on it. I thought it was just a piece of music.
Is there a title of that?
A title? Yes, sir. It's entitled Swan Song.
Preposterous. That's what this is. Absolutely preposterous. Slinging accusation about like this. Something must be done about it. This fellow Owen, whoever he is.
That's just it. Who is he?
You must go into that very carefully. For now, I suggest Rogers. Get your wife to bed and then come back in.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you a hand.
Will she be all right, doctor?
Yes, she'll be quite all right.
I don't know about you, but I feel I need another drink.
I agree.
I'll get them.
Preposterous. It is preposterous.
Whiskey for you, Florence.
I should like a glass of water, please.
Of course, I shall get them. I could do some whiskey myself.
She'll be all right now. I've given her a sedative.
Oh, you'll be needing a drink after all this, doctor.
No thanks. I never touch it.
So you said. You have this one, General?
Now then, Rogers. We must get to the bottom of this. Tell me what you know about Mr. Owen.
He owns this place, sir.
I am quite well aware of that fact. Tell me what you know about the man personally.
I really couldn't say, sir. You see, I've never seen him.
What do you mean you haven't seen him?
We've been here just under a week, my wife and I. We were engaged through a letter through a registry office, the Regina in Plymouth.
That's a high-class firm. We can check on that.
Have you got that letter?
The letter engaging us? Yes, sir. Here it is.
Continue your story.
We arrived here like the letter said, on the 4th. Everything was in order, plenty of food in stock, and everything very nice. Just needed dusting and that.
What's next?
Nothing, sir. That is, we received orders to prepare the rooms for a house party. 8. Then, yesterday, by the Morning Post, we received another letter, saying that Mr. and Mrs. Owen might be detained, and if so, we was to do the best we could. And it gave the instructions about putting on dinner and the gramophone record. Here it is, sir.
Written and typewritten.
Coronation machine number 5. Quite new. And signed paper. No defects. Most common make. We can try it for fingerprints, but it's been handled too much.
Quite the little detective.
Got some fancy Christian names. You think Norman Allen. Quite the mouthful.
I'm obliging you, Mr. Marston. You draw my attention to a curious and suggestive point. I think the time has come for all of us to pool our information together. It would be well to know who our host is by giving the information exactly how we came about to becoming his guests.
There's something very peculiar about all this. I received a letter that purported to be from a woman whom I had met a certain summer 2 or 3 years ago. The signature was very hard to read, and I took the name to be Ogden. I'm fairly certain that I've never become friendly or met anyone with the name Owen.
Have you got that letter?
Yes, I will fetch it for you.
Miss Clayton.
I never actually met Miss Owen. I applied through a secretarial agency in London, Miss Brentford's to be exact. I wanted a holiday post, so I applied for this one, and I was accepted.
You were never interviewed by your prospective employer?
No, but I do have the letter.
Soldier Island, Sticklehaven, Devon. I have received your name from Miss Grenfell's agency. I understand she knows you personally. I shall be glad to pay you the salary you ask, and shall expect you to take up your duties on August 8th. The train is at 12:10 from Paddington, and you will be met at Oak Bridge Station. I impose £5 for expenses. Yours truly, Nancy Owen. Mr. Marston.
Don't actually know the others. I got a wire from the pal of mine, Patrick Berkeley. Told me to roll up here. Surprised me a bit, but an ideal deal with person on Norway. I haven't got the wire.
Thank you. Dr. Armstrong.
I think I may admit in these circumstances that my visit here was completely and utterly professional. Mr. Owen was worried about his wife, her nerves to be precise, and he wanted me to give him a report without anyone being alarmed, and therefore suggested my visit should be regarded as that of a guest's.
You had no previous acquaintance with the family.
No,
You had no hesitation in obeying the summons.
a colleague of mine was mentioned, and a handsome fee was suggested. I was due for a holiday anyways.
Miss Brent. Dear Miss Brent, I do hope you remember me. We were together at Belhaven Guest House in August some years ago, and we seem to have so much in common. I am studying a guest house of my own on an island off the coast of Devon. I think there is really an opening for a place where there is good English cooking and a nice old-fashioned type of person. None of this nudity and gramophones half the night. I should be very glad if you could see your way to spending the summer holiday on Soldier Island, as my guest lives. I suggest August 8th, 12:40 from Paddington to Oakbridge. Yours sincerely, U.N. Yes, the signature is slightly ambiguous.
I like the nudity touch.
I, of course, have my own decoy letter from an old friend of mine, Lady Constance Collington. She writes in the usual vague, incoherent ways, and it urges me to join her. She refers to our host and hostess in the vaguest of terms. I haven't kept that letter.
I just had an idea,
In a minute.
but I think
We will take one thing at a time, if you don't mind, Captain Marlborough. General Mackenzie.
I got a letter from this fellow Owen. There's some old cronies of mine who are going to help me be here. I hope I excuse them for more information. I have kept the letter, I'm afraid.
Thank you. Captain Marlborough.
same sort of thing. Invitation mentioning mutual friends. I haven't kept the letter either.
We just all had a somewhat disturbing experience. An apparently disembodied voice spoke to us all by name, uttering certain definite accusations. We will deal with those presently. At the moment, I am interested in a minor point. Amongst those names received was that of a William Henry Bloor. But, as far as we know, there was no one named Bloor amongst us. The name of Davis was unmentioned. What have you to say about that, Mr. Davis?
Cat's off the bag, it seems. I guess I may admit my name isn't Davis.
You're William Henry Bloor.
That's right.
I have something to add to that. Not only are you here under a false name, Mr. Bloor, but in addition to that, I've noticed this evening that you are a first-class liar. You claim to have come from Natal, South Africa. I know South Africa and Natal very well, and I'm prepared to swear that you've never set foot there in your life.
You gentlemen have got me all wrong. I'm an ex-CID man.
Oh, a copper.
Yes, I run a detective agency in Plymouth. I was put onto this job.
By whom?
By Mr. Owen, of course. Sent a very nice money order and told me to come here posing as a guest. Gave me all of your names, too.
Any reason given?
Said Mrs. Owen had got some valuable jewels. Mrs. Owen, my foot! I don't believe there's any such person.
Your reasons are, I believe, justified. You look Norman Owen, or Nancy Owen, or by a slight stretch of fancy, UN, or unknown.
But it's fantastic. Now,
Oh yes, I've no doubt in my own mind that we've been invited here by a madman, probably a homicidal lunatic.
Oh my God.
Out of his knowledge concerning us, he has taken the time to find out a great deal about us. A very great deal. And has made certain definite accusations. Say this. Our unknown friend accuses me of the murder of one Edward Seaton. I remember Seaton perfectly well. Seaton was brought before me in trial in June 1930, and he was charged with the murder of an elderly woman. He was very ably defended and made a good impression on the jury in the witness box. Nevertheless, on the information given to me, the man was certainly guilty. I summed up accordingly, and the jury brought the verdict of guilty. In person sentenced to death, I fully concurred with the verdict. The appeal was lodged on the grounds of misdirection, and the appeal was dismissed. And the man was duly executed. I wish to say that my conscience is perfectly clear on the matter. I did my duty and nothing more. I pass sentence on a rightfully convicted murderer.
Did you know Seton at all? I mean, personally.
I knew nothing of Satan. I answered trying.
The old boy's lying. I'll swear he's lying.
The thousand madman, an absolute madman. Got Peter's Barney's got the hold of the stick at the wrong end all the way around. However, I feel I ought to say no truth whatsoever. Whatever he said about Arthur Richmond. Richmond was one of my officers. I sent him on a mission in 1917. He was killed. Also, I'd like to say, slaughtered my wife. She's been dead for a long time, but absolutely best woman in the world. Absolutely Caesar's wife.
You know, I've just been thinking. John and Lucy Combs. Must have been a couple of kids they ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
For them or for you?
Well, I was thinking for me, but of course, you're right, sir. It was damn bad luck for them, too. I mean, they ran out of some cottage rubber. Had my license suspended for a year. Oh, beastly nuisance.
This speeding is all wrong. All wrong. Young men like you are a danger to the community.
I couldn't help it. Just an accident.
Might I say a word, sir?
Go ahead, Rogers.
Thank you. There was a mention, sir, of me and Mrs. Rogers, and of a Miss Jennifer Brady. There isn't a word of truth in it. Sir, we were with Miss Brady when she died. She was always in poor health, sir, from the time we came to her. There was a storm, sir. The night she died, the telephone was out of order. We couldn't get the doctor to her, so I went for him, sir, on foot. But he got there too late. We'd done everything possible for her, devoted to her we were. There was never a word said against us, never a word.
Did you come into a nice little something at the time of her death?
Miss Brady left us a legacy in recognition of our faithful service, and why not, I'd like to know.
What about you, Mr. Bloor?
What about me?
Your name was on the list.
I know. Landor, you mean. That was a London and commercial bank robbery.
I remember the name, but it wasn't brought before me. You were the officer in charge of the case, weren't you?
I was.
Landor got penal servitude for life and died in Dartmoor a year later. He was a delicate man.
He was a crook! It was him put the night watchman out. The case was clear from the start.
You were complimented, I think, on your able handling of the case.
I got my promotion. I was only doing my duty.
Convenient word, duty. What about you, Doctor?
I am at a loss to understand the matter. What was the name again? Close? I don't remember the name at all, or as having been connected with the death in any way. The thing's a complete mystery to me. Of course, it could be one of my hospital operations. They come so late, so many of these patients. And then when they die, it's always the surgeon's fault.
And then you go in for the study of nervous diseases and give up surgery. Some, of course, give up drink.
You have no right to insinuate such things. I never touch alcohol.
My dear fellow, I never suggested you did. Besides, only Mr. Unknown Owen knows all the facts.
Miss Claiborne?
I was a nursery governess to a boy named Peter Hamilton. We were in Cornwall for the summer, and the boy always loved to swim. One day, my attention was distracted by something, and when I realized what was happening, Peter was out in the sea. The current had got him already, and it was far too late to realize or go to him what happened.
Was there an inquest?
No, I was honored by the coroner. His mother wasn't letting me either.
Thank you. Miss Brent?
Nothing to say.
Nothing to say at all.
Nothing.
You reserve your defense.
There's no question of defense. I've always acted according to the dictates of my conscience.
What a great set of law-abiding citizens we all seem to be. Myself excepted.
Still waiting for your story, Captain Almar.
I haven't got a story.
What do you mean you haven't got a story?
Sorry to disappoint you all. It's just that I plead guilty. It's true. I left those men alone to die in the bush. A matter of self-preservation.
You abandoned your man?
Not quite the act of a proper gentleman, I'm afraid, but self-preservation is a man's first duty.
Well, inquiry rests there. Now then, Rogers, what is there on this island besides ourselves, you and your wife?
Nobody, sir. Nobody at all.
You're sure of that?
Quite sure, sir.
Thank you. Don't go, Rogers. I'm not yet clear as to the reason of our unknown host inviting us here, but he's not sane in the accepted sense of the word. It may be dangerous. It would be well for all of us to leave as soon as possible. I suggest tonight.
You'll beg my pardon, sir, but there's no boat on the island.
No boat at all?
No, sir.
I don't agree. Telephone to the mainland.
There's no telephone either. Franny Narracott, she comes over every morning. She brings the milk and the bread and the post and the papers and takes the orders.
Been on sporting. What? Ought to fret out the mystery before we go. It's like a detective story. Positively thrilling.
In my time of life, I've no desire for thrills.
Oh, the legal life's narrowing. Personally, I'm all for crime. Here's to it.
My God, he's dead.
Dead? Do you mean the fellow just choked and died?
You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation right enough.
I never knew a man can die like that. Just a choking fit.
I suppose there was something in the whiskey?
Yes, by the smell of it. Cyanide. Probably potassium cyanide. Works pretty well instantaneously.
Then he must have slipped the stuff in the glass himself.
Suicide, eh? That's a wrong way to go.
You'd never think he'd commit suicide. He was enjoying himself.
Hey, look! Here's one of those China soldiers. Broken.
We've been to the top. No sign of that boat yet.
It's very early still.
Oh, I know. Just the girl Narracott brings the milk and the bread and all that. I sure thought she'd be here by now. No sign of any breakfast still? Where's that Rogers?
Oh, don't bother about breakfast.
How's the weather looking?
The wind has freshened up a bit. Rather a mackerel sky. Old boy on the train yesterday said we were due for dirty weather. I shouldn't wonder if he wasn't right.
I wish that boat would come. The sooner we get off this island, the better. It's absurd not keeping a boat on the island.
No proper harbor. If the wind blew from the southeast, a boat would get dashed to pieces against the rocks. No, Miss Brent, that's just what it wouldn't. Yes, condensed milk, Revita, and tin stuff till the gal has blown itself out. But you needn't worry, the sea's only a bit choppy.
I really wish that boat would come. It's absurd the way this place is built, slap up against a cliff. You can't see the mainland until you've reached the top. Should we go up there again?
It's no good, Doctor. A watch pot never boils. There wasn't a sign of a boat putting out when we're up there just now.
And what about this girl Nera? What can she be doing?
They're all like that in Devon. Never hurry themselves.
What about Rogers? Shouldn't he be about?
If you ask me, Master Rogers was pretty badly rattled last night.
Ah, yes. Ugh. Ghastly. The whole thing.
I take it even that kind of life did that old lady in.
You really think so?
Well, I never seen a man who was scared. Guilty as hell, I should say.
Fantastic. The whole thing. Fantastic.
I say, suppose he's hopped it.
Who, Rogers? But you just said so. There's no one else on the island.
I know, but suppose there is. What if he's nipped off in it and the first thing?
He won't be allowed to leave the island.
Sleep well, General?
I dreamed. Yes, I dreamed.
I don't wonder at that.
I dreamed of Leslie, my wife, you know.
Oh, yes. I wish Narracott would come!
Who is Narracott?
The girl that brought us over yesterday afternoon?
It was only yesterday.
Yes, I feel that too. Batty gramophone records, suicides, it's about all a man can stand. I shan't be sorry to see the back of Soldier Island. I give you my word.
So you don't seem to understand. How strange.
What's that, General?
I don't like the look of it.
If you ask me, young Marston's suicide must have shaken him pretty badly. He looks years older.
I know. Where's the party on the phone now?
In the study. Put him there myself.
Dr. Armstrong, I suppose it was suicide?
What else could it possibly be?
I don't know, but suicide.
You know, last night I had a pretty funny feeling. This Mr. Unknown Owen, suppose he is on the island. Rogers mayn't know, or he may, and have just been told not to say so. Pretty nasty thought, isn't it?
But would it have been possible for anyone to tamper with Marston's drink without our seeing him.
Well, it was standing up there. Anyone could have slipped a dope of cyanide in it if they wanted to.
But that's just insane.
Oh, there you are, sir. But looking all over for you. Could you, come up and have a look at my wife, sir?
Sure, is she under the weather still?
She's...
You won't leave the island without me?
I wish the boat would come. I hate this place.
Yes, the sooner we can contact the police, the better.
The police.
Yes, the police need to be notified in the case of a suicide. You know, Miss Claiborne.
Oh, yes, of course.
Still no sign of any breakfast?
Are you hungry, General? Feeling like breakfast?
Leslie, my dear.
Oh, no, I'm Vera Claythorne.
Forgive me, I mistook you for my wife. I was waiting for her, you see.
But I thought your wife was dead long ago.
Yes, I thought so too, but she's here on the island.
Good morning.
Good morning, Captain Lombard.
Good morning, Mr. Bull. Seem to have overslept myself. But we're yet... No. A bit late, isn't it?
Yes.
Good morning. You and I could have had a swim before breakfast. Too bad, all of this.
Too bad you overslept yourself.
You must have pretty good nerves to sleep like that.
Nothing makes me lose my sleep.
Didn't dream of African natives by any chance, did you?
No. Did you dream of convicts on Dartmoor?
Look here, Captain Lombard, I don't find that very funny.
Well, you started it, you know. I'm hungry. What about breakfast?
Seems the whole domestic staff has gone on strike.
We can always forage for ourselves.
Hey, that's strange.
What?
You remember we found this little fellow smashed last night?
Yes, that ought to leave 9.
That ought to be 9. I'm certain there were 10 of them when we arrived.
Well,
There are only 8.
so there are.
I think it's queer, don't you?
Probably only 9 to begin with. We only assumed there were 10 because of the rhyme. Hello, Armstrong. What's the matter?
Mrs. Rogers is dead.
How?
Died in her sleep last night. Mr. Rogers thought that she was still under the influence of the sleeping draught that I gave her, and came down without disturbing her. Then he lit the kitchen fire and did this room. But as she hadn't appeared, he went back up, was alarmed by the look of her, and came hunting for me. She's been dead for about 5 hours, I should say.
What was it? Heart?
Impossible to say. It may have been.
She could have been poisoned, I suppose, Doctor.
It is possible.
By the same stuff as at Marston.
No. It would have had to have been some sort of narcotic or hypnotic. One of the barbiturates or chloro. Something like that.
You gave her some sleeping powders last night, didn't you?
Yes, I gave her a mild dose of luminol.
Didn't give her too much, did you?
Certainly not. What do you mean?
No offense. I just thought that perhaps if she had a weak heart.
The amount that I gave her could not have hurt anybody.
Then what exactly did happen?
Impossible to say without an autopsy.
If, for instance, this death had happened with one of your private patients, what would have been your procedures, Doctor?
Well, without any prior information on the patient's state of health, I certainly couldn't give a certificate.
She was a very nervous-looking creature. She had a very terrible fright last night. Perhaps it was heart failure.
Her heart certainly failed to beat, but what caused it to fail?
Conscience.
What exactly do you mean by that, Miss Bright?
You all heard. She was accused, together with her husband, of having deliberately murdered her former employer, an old lady.
And do you believe that's true, Miss Brent?
Certainly. You all saw. She broke down completely and fainted. The shock of having her wickedness brought home to her was too much. She literally died of fear.
It is a possible theory. One cannot adopt it without more exact information on the woman's state of health. If perhaps, in this situation, she did have somewhat of a latent cardiac weakness.
Call it, if you prefer, an act of God.
Oh no, Miss Brent.
You regard it as impossible that a sinner should not be struck down by the wrath of God? I do not.
My dear lady, in my experience of ill doings, Providence leaves conviction and chastisement to us mortals. The process is often fraught with difficulties. There are no shortcuts.
let's be practical. What did the woman have to eat and drink last night before she went to bed?
Nothing.
Nothing at all? Not a cup of tea? A glass of water? I'll bet you she had a cup of tea. That sort always does.
Rogers assures me that she had nothing whatsoever.
He might say so.
So that's your big idea?
Well, why not? You heard the accusations last night. What if it's true? Miss Brent seems to think it is for one. They're feeling quite safe and happy about it.
Happy?
Well, they know there's no immediate danger to them. Then, last night, some lunatic goes and spills the beans. What happens is the woman cracks, goes to pieces. Did you see him hanging around her while she was coming to? Not all husbandly solicitude, not on your sweet wife. He was like a cat on hot bricks, and that's the decision. They've done a murder and gotten away with it. And now, if it's going to be all raked up again, it's the woman who give the show away. She hadn't got the nerve to brazen it out. But him, he's all right. He'll go online till the cows come home. But he can't be sure of her. So what does he do? He drops a nice little dollop of something into a nice cup of tea. And when she's had it, he washes up the cup and saucer and tells the doctor she ain't had nothing.
Oh no, that's impossible. A man wouldn't do that, not to his wife.
You'd be surprised, Miss Claythorne, what some husbands would do.
Excuse me, miss. I'm getting on with breakfast. I'm not much of a hand as a cook, I'm afraid. It's lunch that's worrying me. A cold tongue and gelatin be satisfactory, and I can manage some tinned fruit, and then there's fried potatoes and cheese and biscuits.
That'll be fine, Rogers.
Lunch? Lunch? We shan't be here for lunch! And when the hell's that boat coming?
Mr. Clark!
What?
You'll pardon me, sir, but the boat won't be coming.
What?
Brownie Narracot's always here before 8. Is there anything else you require, miss?
No, Rogers.
And it's not Rogers? His wife lying dead upstairs while he's cooking breakfast and calmly talking about lunch? Now he says the boat won't be coming. How the hell does he know? Mr. Moore! What?
Oh, don't you see he stays? He just carries on automatically as a good servant would. It's pathetic. Really.
He's pulling a fast one if you ask me.
The really significant thing is the failure of the boat to arrive. That means we are being deliberately cut off from help.
It's very little time. Very little time.
What's that, General?
Very little time. You must have wasted a time on things that don't matter.
Why don't you think Narracot has turned up yet?
I believe the ubiquitous Mr. Owen has given the orders.
You mean tournaments of practical joke or something of that kind?
She'd never fall for that, would she?
Well, why not? Soldiers Island's got a reputation for people hosting crazy parties. This is just one more crazy idea, that's all. Narracot knows there's plenty of food and drink on the island. He probably thinks it's all a big joke.
Well, couldn't we light a bonfire at the top of the island so they see it?
That's probably been provided against. All signals are to be ignored. We're cut off, all right?
Well, can't we do something?
Oh, yes, we can. We can find the funny little gentleman who stays as a joke, Mr. Unknown Owen. And I bet you anything you'll like he's here on this island. And the sooner we get to work, the better. Because in my opinion, he's as mad as a hatter and as dangerous as a rattlesnake.
Hardly a very good simile, Captain. At least a rattlesnake gives warning before its approach.
Warning. My God, yes! Don't you see? That's our warning right there. 10 little soldier boys. There are 10 of us after Narracot went, weren't there? 10 little soldier boys going out to down. One went and choked himself. Marston choked himself, didn't he? 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself. Overslept himself. That last part fits Mrs. Rogers rather well, doesn't it?
You don't think he means to kill us all, right?
Yes, I think he does.
And he wants us to the run.
No, it's impossible. It's coincidence. It must be coincidence.
Only 8 little soldier boys here. I guess you think that's coincidence too. What about you, Lord?
I don't like it.
But you just said so yourself. There's no one else on the island.
I'm not so sure of that.
This is terrible.
None of us will ever leave this island.
Can somebody shut up, Grandpa?
Don't you agree with me, Sir Lawrence?
Up to a point, yes.
Then the sooner we get to work, the better. Come on, Armstrong. Come on, Lord. We'll make short work of it.
I don't suppose anyone's got a revolver on them. I guess that would be too good of luck.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, my gun seems so jammed. I got one.
Always carry that on you?
Usually. I've been in some pretty tight places, you know.
I suppose you've never been in a tighter place than you are today. Well, with a homicidal maniac roaming around the island, I'll bet he's got a whole arsenal on him, and he'll use it.
You may be wrong there, Lord. Many homicidal maniacs tend to be quiet, unassuming people.
Delightful fellows.
You'd never guess there was anything wrong with them.
If our Mr. Owen turns out to be of that sort, I'll leave him to you, Doctor. Now then, I suggest we make a start. Lombard can search the house while we search the island.
Right. House ought to be easy. No sliding panels or secret doors.
Mind he doesn't get you before you get him.
Don't worry about me. But you two had better stick together. Remember, one got left behind.
Come on, Armstrong.
An energetic young man, Captain Lombard.
Don't you think he's right? If someone's hiding on the island, they'll be bound to find him. It's practically their rock.
I believe this problem requires brains to solve it, rather than brawn.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm going to sit in the sun and think, my dear lady.
Where did I put that skein of wool?
Did you leave it upstairs? Shall I go and fetch it for you?
No. I'll go. I know where it's like to be.
I'm glad Captain Lombard's got a revolver.
We're all wasting time. Wasting time.
You think so?
Yes, I say it's better to sit quietly and wait.
Wait for what?
For the end, of course. I wish I could find Leslie.
Your wife?
Yes, I wish you knew her. She was so pretty, so alive.
Was she?
I loved her very much. Of course, I was a lot older than she was. She was only 26, you know. Arthur Richmond was 27. He was my second in command. Once I liked him. They used to talk of music, PlayStation, made fun of him, teased him. I was pleased. I thought she took a motherly interest into the boy. Damn fool, wasn't I? Oh fool, my own fool. Exactly like a book, the way I found out. When I was out in France, she wrote to both of us. She put the letters in the wrong envelope, so I knew.
Oh no.
It's alright, my dear. But you see, a long time ago, when I loved her, believed in her, I didn't say anything to him. I let her gather inside. Here. A slow, murderous rage. Damn, don't be hypocrite. I liked the boy. Trusted him.
I wonder what the others are doing.
I sent them to his death.
Oh,
Mistakes were being made all the time. Anyone could say I lost my nerve a bit and made a blunder, sacrificed one of my best men. Yes, it was quite easy. Leslie never knew. I never told her I'd found out. We weren't as usual, but somehow nothing was quite real anymore. She died of pneumonia. She had a heart-shaped face, gray eyes, brown hair that curled.
oh don't.
Yes, I suppose in a way it was murder. Curious murder. I've only been such a law-abiding man. It is feeling bad at the time. So there's a damn row right. That's what I thought. But after love, you know, don't you?
What do you mean?
You don't seem to understand. I thought you would. Thought you'd be glad to. That and the end was coming. We're all going to die, you know.
I don't know.
You haven't got to that yet. The relief. The blessed relief. You know you haven't got to carry the burden any longer.
General.
Don't talk to me that way. I want to sit here and wait for Leslie to come for me.
I'm frightened. Oh, I'm frightened.
All correct. No secret passages. One corpse.
Don't.
I say, you do look low. How about a drink to steady your nerves?
Have a drink. 2 corpses in the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and all you can say is have a drink. An old man going quite crackers, and all you can say is have a drink. 10 people accused of murder, and that's all you can say is have a drink. Everything will be fine as long as you have a drink.
All right. Stay thirsty.
Oh, you make me tired. You're an adventurer.
I say, you are head up. What's the matter, my sweet?
I am not. You're sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I rather thought you were.
Well, you can think again.
Come now, you know you don't really feel like that. Rogues and murderers can't fall out.
Rogues and murderers.
Okay, you won't have a drink and you don't like the company of rogues and murderers. I'll go finish searching.
Unpleasant young man. I His sin has found her out. Don't. One must face back.
Can any of us afford to throw stones?
Even if his wife was no better than she should be, she must have been a depraved woman. He had no right to take judgment into his own hands.
What about Beatrice Taylor?
Who?
That was the name, wasn't it?
Are you referring to that absurd accusation about myself?
Yes.
Well, now that we are alone, I have no objection to telling you the facts of the case. Indeed, I should like to hear them. That girl, Beatrice Taylor, was in my service. I was very much deceived in her. She was clean and willing and had nice manners. I was pleased. Of course, all that was the sheerest hypocrisy. She was a loose girl with no morals. Disgusting. Sometime before that, I found out she was what they call in trouble. It was a great shock to me. Her parents had brought her up strictly, too. I'm glad to say they didn't condone her behavior.
What happened?
Well, naturally, I refuse to keep her out of my roof. No one shall ever say I condoned immorality.
How old was she?
17.
Only 17.
Quite old enough to know how to behave. I told her what a low, depraved thing she was. I told her she was beyond the pale, and that no decent person would ever allow her into their homes. I told her that her child would be a child of sin and would be branded all its life, and the man would naturally not dream of marrying her. I told her I felt soiled by ever having had her on my roof.
You told a girl of 17 all that?
Yes, I'm glad to say I broke her down utterly.
Poor little devil.
I have no patience with this indulgence towards sin.
And then I suppose you turned her out of the house?
Of course.
And she didn't dare go home. What did you feel like when you found out she drowned herself?
Feel like?
Yes, didn't you blame yourself?
Certainly not. I had nothing with which to reproach myself.
I believe you do feel like that, and that makes it even more horrible.
Girls are balanced. The heathen are made in the pit that they made, and the net which they hid in their own foot taken. The Lord is known by the judgment. He executeth the wicked snare in the work of his own hand.
Breakfast is ready.
Be quiet. The wicked shall be turned into hell.
Do you know where the gentlemen are, miss? Breakfast is ready.
Sir Lawrence Wargrave is out sitting in the sun. Mr. Blow and Dr. Armstrong are searching the island. I shall not bother with them.
Shall not the isle shake with the sound of the fall, when the slaughter is made, when the wind cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of thee?
Shall we eat?
I'm not hungry.
Breakfast is ready.
Then all the princes of the sea shall come down and lay away their robes, and put off their embroidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground, and shall tremble at every moment, and be astonished by thee.
Reading aloud, Miss Burns?
Yes, it is my custom to read a portion of the Bible every day.
Very good habit, I'm sure.
What luck did you have?
I've searched the whole island. There's no caves, no cover. No one can hide anywhere else.
That's right. What about the house, Lombard?
I'll stick there's no one in this house but ourselves. I've searched it from attic to cellar.
Breakfast is getting cold.
Breakfast! Come on, Lord, you've been yelping for breakfast ever since we woke up. Let's eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. Or who knows, perhaps even today.
You ought to be ashamed of such levity, Captain Lombard.
Oh, come now, the general can't have this. Breakfast, I say, sir. Oh, no. One got left behind. There's a knife in Mackenzie's back!
He's dead. He's dead.
What? No, there's only us on the island!
How would you realize this by now, my dear sir? This clever and cunning criminal is comfortably one stage ahead of us and knows what we're going to do when we do it. There's only one place, you know, where a successful murderer could hide and get away with it.
One place. Where?
Here in this room, Mr. Owen is one of us.
This damn murderer is one of us. And I think I know which.
Really?
Yes. Have you ever heard of the Lizzie Borden case? Old couple in America, killed in the middle of the morning. The only person who could have done it was her daughter, a respectable, middle-aged spinster.
So your answer to the problem is Miss Emily Brent?
Yes, she's mad, I tell you, religious mad. She's the one, and we must watch her.
Really? I had formed the impression that your suspicions were in a different corner.
Well, they were. But I've changed my mind, and I'll tell you why. She's the only one of us who isn't scared. And it's because she's in no immediate danger. Hush.
We made some coffee. Oh, it's cold in here.
You won't believe it, what a beautiful day it was this morning.
Are Captain Lombard and Rogers still out?
Yes, no boat will put out in this.
Miss Brents.
Allow me.
You're right, I'm going to lunch drinking some brandy with it. I feel so much better.
Of course. The court always adjourns for lunch.
It's all the same. It's a nightmare. What are we going to do about it?
We should hold an informal inquiry. Then maybe we'll be able to eliminate some innocent people.
You haven't got a hunch, have you, Miss Claythorne?
If Miss Claythorne suspected one of us three, that's rather an awkward question.
Well, I don't think it's any of you. Say who I think it is. I say Armstrong.
Armstrong?
Yes, don't you see? He's at the far and easiest chance to kill Miss Rogers. He's a doctor. He'd given her over to some sleeping stuff.
Yes, but someone else gave her brandy, remember?
Her husband had a good opportunity of administering a drug.
It isn't Rogers. He hasn't got the brain to fix this stuff, nor the money. Besides, you can see he's scared stiff.
My God, it's really like a storm out there.
Oh, it's only you.
Who'd you think it was? Beatrice Taylor?
Excuse me.
No chance of rescue until the storm dies down. Oh, is that coffee? Good. I'm taking the coffee now, you see.
Such restraint in the face of dangers, nothing short of heroic.
I do not, of course, profess to be a weather prophet, but it is unlikely that a boat can reach us. Even if the winds drop, the sea has still to go down.
Rogers, you're awfully wet.
Is anyone a swimmer? Could anyone swim out to the mainland?
It's over a mile, and besides, in this sea, he'll be dashed on the rocks and drowned.
Drowned. Drowned in a pond.
I beg your pardon, Miss Brent.
After dinner now.
It's terribly cold in here.
I could light the fire if you'd like, miss.
Oh, that'd be a great idea.
Very sound scheme, Rogers.
Excuse me, does anyone know what's become of the top bathroom curtain?
Really, Rogers? Are you going back too?
The bathroom curtain?
Yes, sir. Scarlet oil silk. It's gone missing.
Has anybody here seen a scarlet oil silk curtain? No good, I'm afraid, Rogers.
It doesn't matter, sir. I only thought of it just as it was odd.
Everything on this island is odd.
I'll get some sticks and a few knobs of coal. Get a nice fire going.
He's awfully wet. I wonder if he'd like a hot coffee. Rogers!
Say, what's become of Armstrong?
He wants his room to rest.
Someone's probably batted in one by now.
I believe he had a good sentence to bolt his door.
Makes sense now that we're all on our guard.
I wouldn't be so confident there, boy. I should like to propose that all of us adopt certain measures of protection very shortly.
Against whom?
Against each other. We are all in grave danger. Of the 10 people invited to this island, 3 are definitely cleared. That leaves 7 little soldiers.
One of whom is a bogus little soldier boy.
Exactly.
Well, in spite of what Miss Claythorne said just now, I'd say that you, Sir Lawrence, and Dr. Armstrong are above suspicion. He's a well-known doctor, and you're known all over England.
That proves nothing at all, Mr. Moore. Judges have thought that. Doctors have. So have policemen.
Here, here. Well, does he want some coffee?
He'd rather make himself a nice cup of tea. What about Armstrong? You think we ought to make him a cup?
I'll take it to him if you'd like.
I'll take it up to him. I need to change.
Yes, you ought to. You'll catch a cold.
He may prefer to see me. He may not admit you, Captain. He may be afraid of your revolver.
That revolver. I want to have a word with you about that.
Oh, do go and change, please.
What were you going to say?
Why would you bring a revolver on what's supposed to be a nice little social visit?
You want to know, don't you? Well, I've led a rather adventurous life. Been caught in a couple jams, been in a few tight places, and I've just gotten into the habit of carrying a revolver around with me. Feels pretty good to have a gun handy, don't you agree?
We don't carry them. Now, I want the truth about this gun.
What a damn suspicious fellow you are, Lord.
I know a fishy story when I hear one.
If it's about that revolver, I'd like to hear what you've got to say.
Well, I was invited here as a guest of Mr. and Mrs. Owen. They're right here. I've heard I got a good reputation for being a good man in a tight place, and that there might be some danger. But I'd be all right if I kept my eyes open.
I'd never have fallen for that.
Well, I did. I was bored. God, how I was bored back in this tame country. An intriguing proposition, you must admit.
You're too vague for my liking.
That was the whole charm. It aroused my curiosity.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yes, quite.
Oh, do go and change, please.
I'm going, my sweet. The maternal instinct, I think it's called.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
That's a likely story. If it's true, why didn't he tell it to us last night?
He may have thought this was the exact situation for which he had been prepared.
Perhaps it is.
I think not. I believe this is just Mr. Owen's little bit of cheese to get him into a trap with the rest of us. He must have known him well enough to rely solely on his curiosity.
If it's true, he's a wrong that man. I wouldn't trust him a yard.
Are you such a good judge of truth?
Ah, there you are. We must get out of here before it is too late.
The one thing we mustn't do is let our nose get to us.
I'm sorry, rather a case of physician heal thyself, but I've been overworked lately and run down.
Sleeping badly?
Yes. Keep having dreams. Hospital. Operations. A knife in my throat.
Real nightmares.
Yes. Do you ever dream that you're in court sentencing a man to death?
Are you my chance in front of the man I haven't seen? I can assure you I should lose no sleep over that I would see. He was particularly cold-blooded and wrote about it. The jury was inclined to let him off. I can already see as if I cooked Stephen's goose.
Cold in here, isn't it?
Yes, I wish Roger would hurry up.
Yes. Where is that man?
Oh, he said he'd gone to get some sticks.
Sticks. Sticks! My God, sticks!
My God,
How many are there left?
there seem to be only 5 of them.
5?
Roger's alarm bar.
Oh, no, not Philip.
Rogers!
Where the hell is going off to like a madman?
Oh, Philip,
Have you seen Rogers?
No, or should I?
The 2 more soldiers have gone.
I thought it was you.
Well, what is it?
In the scullery.
Is he?
Yes. He's dead all right.
How?
With an axe. Someone must have come up behind him while he was bent over the wood box.
Chopped himself in half, and then there were 6. Marston was 10.
Stop it, Vera! Stop it! She'll be all right, boys. What's next? Bees. Do they keep bees on the island? Well, that's the next verse, isn't it? 6 little soldier boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there are 5. A bumblebee stung one. We all look pretty spry. Unless you don't think. A hypodermic syringe!
The modern bee stick.
While she was sitting over there, one of us.
One of us. Which of us?
facetiousness.
After leave the gloom. Damn that electric plant burning down. How about we play a nice strong game? How about inventing one called suspicions? A suspects B, B suspects C, and so forth. Let's start off with Bloor. It's not hard to guess who Bloor fancies. It sticks out a mile. I'm your fancy, aren't I, Bloor?
I wouldn't say no to that.
You're quite wrong, you know. Abstract justice isn't my line. If I had to commit murder, there would have to be something in it for me.
All I'm saying is that you've acted suspiciously since the start. You gave us two different stories. You brought a revolver here, and now you say that you've lost it?
I have lost it.
That's a likely story.
What do you suggest I've done with it? I suggested myself that you should search me.
You haven't got it on you. You're too smart for that.
You mean
But you know where it is.
You mean I cashed it away, ready for the next time?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Why don't you use your brains, Lord? If I'd wanted to, I could have shot the lot of you by this time. Pop, 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 pop.
But that's not the big idea, is it?
The crazy touch? My God, man, I'm sane enough.
The doctor said there are some lunatics. You never know we're lunatics. That's true enough, I'd say.
We can't just sit here doing nothing. There has to be something. Surely, there has to be something that we can do if we lit a bonfire.
In this weather.
It is, I'm afraid, a question of time and patience. We must wait for the storm to go down. Then maybe we can light a bonfire, heliograph, signal.
Time? We shan't afford time. We shall all be dead.
I believe that the precautions we've adopted shall gather.
All of us dead. All but one. Go think of something else. He's thinking now.
Poor Louise. What was her name? Cleese? Was it nerves that made you do her in, doctor?
No. It was drink. I was a heavy drinker. God help me. I was drunk when I operated. Quite simple operations. My hands shaking all over the place. I remember it now. She was a big, heavy, countrified woman. And I killed her.
So I was right. That's how it was.
Her sister knew, of course, but she was loyal to me, or the hospital, so I gave it up altogether, and went in for a study in nervous diseases.
Very successfully.
One or two lucky shots. Great results with one or two important women. They tell their friends, and for the past year or two, I've been so busy that I haven't known which way to turn. I got into the top of the tree.
That wasn't until Mr. Unknown Owen. Down will come Cradle and Doctor and all.
Will you stop your damnable sneering and joking?
Gentlemen, please. We can't afford to quarrel.
That's all right by me. I apologize.
It's this terrible inactivity that gets on my nerves.
We have adopted, I feel convinced, the only measures possible. So long as we remain within sight of each other, our repetition of the tragedies that have occurred must be impossible. We've all submitted to a search. Therefore, we know that no man is armed either with a knife or a gun, and we know that no person has any drugs or cyanide about them. As long as we stay, as I say, within sight of each other, nothing can happen.
But we can't go on like this. We shall need food, sleep.
That's what I say.
Obviously, the murderer's only chance is to get one of us separated from the group. So long as we can prevent that, we will be safe.
Safe?
You're very silent, Vera.
There isn't anything to say. It's this awful waiting for the hours to go by, and yet they feel like they're here last. What's the time?
8:30.
Is that all?
Horrible like this. How are the candles holding out?
There's a whole other packet. The storm's dying down a bit. What do you think, sir?
Perhaps we mustn't be too optimistic.
This killer has everything on their side. Even the weather is falling in with their plans.
What about food?
If you'd like, I can go out and open a tin and maybe make some coffee, but you four must stay here. That's right, isn't it?
Well, not exactly. You see, Miss Clayton, it would be inadvisable to eat or drink anything that you have prepared out of our sight.
Oh, you don't like me, do you?
It's not a question of likes or dislikes.
There are very few things that'll get past you, Sir Lawrence. If you won't be offended at my saying so. You're my fancy.
This is hardly the moment, Captain Lombard, for any of us to indulge in the luxury of taking offense.
I don't think it's Bloor. I may be wrong here, but I just can't feel you got the imagination for this type of job. Although, if I am wrong, and you are the criminal, I take my hat off to you. You're a damn fine actor.
Thank you. For nothing.
It isn't the doctor. He hasn't got the nerve. You, on the other hand, Vera, have got quite a lot of nerve. But you strike me as eminently sane. So you'd only do murder if you had a thoroughly good motive.
Aw, thank you.
I just thought of something.
Splendid! Animal, vegetable, or mineral?
That man says he's a police officer, but we don't know that. He only said so over the gramophone. And before that, he was planning to be a South African millionaire. Maybe the police officer is just another one of his fancy impersonations. What do we know about him? Nothing at all.
Oh, he's a policeman, all right.
Well, that's enough from you, Captain Malfoy.
Well, now we know where we are. Oh, by the way, Doctor, Vera suspects you. Oh, of course she does. Haven't you seen her shoot a dirty look at you from time to time? It all works quite well. I suspect Sir Lawrence. Laura suspects me. Armstrong suspects Laura. What about you, Sir Lawrence?
Quite early in the day, I had formed a certain conclusion that everything that happened pointed to this person. I'm still the same opinion.
Which one?
Well, no, it would be inadvisable to say it this time.
Inadvisable in the public interest?
Exactly.
What about the food idea?
No, we're safe here.
I can't say I'm hungry.
I'm not ravenous myself, Lord, but you can go out and have a guzzle by yourself.
Why don't I bring in a tin of biscuits?
Good idea. Oh, Lord,
Hey,
an unopened tin.
I wonder what happened to that left silk curtain, the one that Rogers missed.
By the wildest stretch of imagination, I cannot see what any homicidal maniac would want with a solid oil silk curtain.
Miss Brenda also lost a speed and didn't move.
So the murderer, whoever he or she is a kleptomaniac, too.
How does it go, 5 little soldier boys?
Going in for law, one got in chancery.
One got in chancery. But how could that apply unless, of course?
That's exactly why I'm right here, my dear young lady.
But I'm casting for the role of murderer, not victim.
The term can apply to a boxer.
We'll start a free fight. That seems to let you out, my dear.
That awful rhyme keeps going round and round in my head. I think I'll remember that line until I die. Mr. Buller's been a long time.
I expect the big bad wolf has got him.
I've asked you before to try to refrain from your peculiar sense of humor, Captain Malfoy.
Sorry, sir, it must be a form of nervousness.
Hands up! Search it!
No, thank you.
Oh, come now, you've had no dinner.
I couldn't eat anything.
I warn you, Laura will wolf a lot.
I don't see why you'd be so funny about it. There's no point in us starving ourselves. How are we off for cigarettes?
I haven't got any.
I've run out too.
Fortunately, I'm a pipe smoker.
I have a whole pack upstairs in my suitcase. I can go fetch them. I could do with a cigarette myself. Actually, you all stay where you are while I'm gone.
Not bad, these biscuits.
What are they? Cheese?
Cheese and celery.
That girl ought to have had some.
Her nerves are in a terrible state.
I don't know if I'd agree with you, Doctor. I find Miss Claythorne is a very resourceful and cool young lady. Quite remarkably so.
So that's your idea? That she's the guilty party?
Hardly likely. A woman.
You and I, Doctor, view women from slightly different angles.
What does anyone say to a spot of whiskey?
Good idea, providing we tackle an unopened bottle. Vera! 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 Where are you? Are you okay?
Who's that?
Philip, where are you? I've lost you.
Here I am.
Why can't we have some light? It's awful in the dark. I don't know where you are, where anyone else is.
It's the downstairs draft. It blew all the candles out. Here, I've got a lighter.
Where is Armstrong?
I'm hunting for matches.
Never mind the matches. Go get some more candles.
I was horrified to death. I went right around my throat.
What did?
The window was open in my room, and when I walked in, it blew out the candle, and then a long strand of seaweed wrapped around my throat. I thought in the dark I was being strangled by a wet hand.
I don't wonder you yelled.
Who hung the seaweed there?
I don't know, but when I find out, he'll be sorry he was ever born.
Who is that?
Relax, Miss Claythorne. It's only me.
Here we are. Who fired that shot?
He's dead. Shot through the back of the head.
One got in Chancery, and then there were 4.
Miss Claythorne.
Vera.
No, you all got me to go out of the way. You all got me to go upstairs for cigarettes. You all hung that seaweed there. And that's why you wanted that scarlet oil silk curtain and that knitting wool, just to kill a helpless old man in the dark. It was all planned. And for that, oh my God, get me out of here!
thinking as they guzzle, who's the next to go.
Oh, Philip,
That's all right, Miss Claythorne. I don't mind choking on a full stomach.
I must say I was hungry. I don't think I'll ever fancy tinned tongue ever again.
I was needing that meal. I feel a new man.
We've been nearly 24 hours without a meal. That does lower the morale.
Somehow, everything in the daylight seems so different.
You mustn't forget, there's still a homicidal maniac loose on the side.
Why is it one doesn't feel jittery about it anymore?
Because we know now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, who it is. Eh, Laura?
That's right.
It was the uncertainty before. Looking at each other, wondering which.
I said all along it was Armstrong.
You did, my sweet, you did. Until you went completely bats and suspected us all.
Seems rather silly admitting it now.
Very silly.
Allowing it is Armstrong. What's happened to him?
We know what he wants us to think has happened to him.
What did you find?
One shoe. Just one shoe sitting prettily on the cliff edge. Entrance, Dr. Armstrong has gone completely off his onion and committed suicide.
All very circumstantial. Even down to the one China soldier in the doorway.
Suppose he really is dead?
I'm a bit suspicious of death without bodies.
How extraordinary to think there are 5 dead bodies in there was in your tinned tongue.
The delightful feminine disregard for the facts. There are 6 dead bodies and they are not all in there.
No, she's right. There are only 5.
What about Mrs. Armstrong? Miss Roberts.
I've counted her. She makes a 5th.
Now look here, Marston 1, Mrs. Rogers 2, General Mackenzie 3, Rogers 4, Emily Brett 5, and Wargrave 6.
7, 8, 9. Armstrong makes 10. That's right, old boy. Sorry.
Don't you think it'd be an idea if we brought Mrs. Rogers downstairs and shoved her with the rest of the bodies in the alley?
I'm a detective, not an undertaker.
For heaven's sake, stop talking about bodies. The point is that Armstrong murdered them.
We ought to have realized it was Armstrong straight away.
How did Armstrong get hold of your revolver?
Haven't the slightest idea.
What even happened last night?
Well, after you threw a fit of hysterics and locked yourself in your room, we thought best to go to bed. So we did, and locked ourselves in our rooms.
About an hour later, I heard someone passing by my door. I tapped on Laura's door. He was there all right. I went into Armstrong's room. He was missing. That's when I went into your room and told you not to move, whatever happened. I went downstairs and I saw that the balcony window was open, and my revolver sitting right beside it.
But why the devil would Armstrong chuck that revolver away?
Beats me. Either an accident, or he's crazy.
Where do you think he is now?
Lurking somewhere, waiting to have a crack at 20s.
Well, we ought to search the house.
What? And walk into an ambush?
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
Are you sure you heard no one moving about while we were asleep last night?
Oh, I imagined all sorts of things, but nothing short of setting the house on fire would have gotten you to unlock my door.
I see. Just thoroughly suspicious.
going to do?
If you ask me, do nothing. Sit tight and take no risks.
Look here, I want to go after that fellow.
What a dog of the bulldog breed you are, Thor. By the way, between friends and without prejudice, you did go into that little spot of perjury, didn't you?
Well, I don't suppose it makes any odds now. Landor was innocent, all right. The gang squared me, but between us, we put him away on a stretch. Mind you, I would admit it now if it wasn't for that.
You think we're in the same boat?
Well, I could admit that from Mr. Justice Wargrave. Could I?
No, hardly.
I say, that fellow Seaton, do you think he was innocent?
Quite sure of it. Wargrave had a reason for wanting him out of the way. Well, Blur, I'm delighted you come off your virtuous perch. I hope you made a tidy bit out of it.
It's nothing like what I ought to have done. They're a mean lot, that many gang. I got my promotion, though.
And Landor got penal servitude and died in jail.
I couldn't tell he was going to die, could I?
No, that was your bad luck.
His, you mean?
Yours too. Because of that fact, you might get your life cut short unpleasantly soon.
What, me, by Armstrong? I'll watch it.
You'll have to. Remember, there are only 3 little soldier boys over there.
And what about you?
Don't worry about me. I've been in tight places before, and I've gotten out of them. And I plan to get out of this one. Besides, I've got a revolver.
Yes, that revolver. You said you found it lying down there. What's to prove you haven't had it this whole time?
Same old gramophone record. No room in your head for more than one idea at a time, is there, Lore?
No, but it's a good idea.
And you're sticking to it.
Well, I would have thought of a better story than that if I were you.
I wanted something simple. Something that a policeman could understand.
What's wrong with the police?
Nothing. Now that you've left the force.
Look here, Captain Lombard. If you're an honest man, as you pretend.
Oh, come now, Dora. We're neither of us honest.
All I'm saying is that you ought to have done the square thing and chucked that revolver down there.
Don't be an ass.
Look, I said I'd go looking for Armstrong, haven't I? If you lend me that revolver...
No, it's my revolver and I'm sticking to it.
Then do you know what I'm beginning to think?
You're not beginning to think it, you square-headed flatty. You thought it last night and now you've returned to your original idea. I'm the one and only unknown Owen. Is that it?
I won't contradict you!
Well, think what you damn well please, but I want it!
I think you both are behaving like children.
Sorry, teacher.
Captain Lombard isn't the unknown. The unknown Owen is Armstrong, and there's one good proof of it.
Oh, what?
Think of the run. 4 little soldier boys going out to sea, a red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. A red herring, don't you see? That's Armstrong's pretend suicide, so he really isn't dead.
That's very ingenious.
To my mind, it's actually proof. It's mad because he's mad. He's a queer, childish, crazy pleasure in making everything fit in. Dressing up the judge, killing Roger with shopping sticks, using a hypodermic needle on his friend when he might as well have shrugged her. He's got to make everything fit in.
And that might give us a pointer. Where do we go from here? 3 little soldier boys walking in the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. You'll have a job with that one. There's no zoo on the island. I said, Captain Lombard, what about a nice bottle of beer?
Do stop thinking about your stomach, Dora. This craving for food and drink will be your undoing.
Yeah, but there's plenty of beer in the kitchen.
Yes, and if anyone wanted to get rid of you, the first place they'd put a nice lethal dose would be in a bottle of beer.
What's that? A boat? A boat! Ah!
Oh, God!
Lore's got his.
How?
A booby trap. A wire attached across the doors, attached to something above.
Is he...
Yes, crushed. Head stove in. That great bronze bear holding a clock from the mantel.
a bear? Oh, how ghastly is this awful childishness!
I know. God, what a fool Lore was.
And now there were 2.
Yes, and we'll have to be very careful of ourselves.
We shan't do it. We'll never get off the island. He'll get us.
Oh, yes, we will. I haven't been beaten yet.
Don't you feel that there's someone now, watching and waiting?
That's just nerves.
So you don't feel it?
No, I don't.
Please, Philip. We can get off of this island. If it was a boat, they can see us.
All right. We'll climb to the top of the island. It's sheer cliff on the far side. If that was a boat, they'd be able to see us, and we could see if anyone was coming from the house.
Anything's better than staying here.
Won't you be rather cold in that dress?
I'd be colder if I were dead.
Perhaps you're right. A quick reconnaissance.
Be careful, Philip, please.
Don't worry about me. I'm not Lore. Besides, there's no window directly above. Hello. That's strange.
What?
You'd better wait in there. I'm going to have a look.
Armstrong. Armstrong's body.
drowned at high water mark.
So there's no one at all in the island. No one at all except for us two?
Yes, Vera. Now we know where we are.
Now we know where we are.
A very pretty trick of yours with that wire. Old Wargrave always knew you were dangerous.
You?
So you did drown that kid after all.
I didn't. That's where you're wrong. Listen to me. Believe me.
Oh, I'm listening. You better make it a good story.
It isn't a story. It's the truth. I didn't kill that child. It was someone else.
Who?
A man. Peter's uncle. I was in love with him.
This is getting quite interesting.
Don't sneer. It was hell. Absolute hell. If you'd been born a girl, you would have done everything.
The well-known tale of the wicked uncle.
Yes, he was wicked and I didn't know. He said he loved me, but he was far too poor to marry. There was a rock out far that Peter always wanted to swim to. Of course, I would have let him. It was far too dangerous. One day, my attention was distracted by something in the house. And when I got back, I saw Peter swimming out to the rock. Of course, I rushed down there and tried to get to him, but he tried to stop me. Don't be a fool, he said. I told a little ass he could do it.
Go on. This is quite interesting.
I pushed past him, I got out of his arms, and I rushed towards the beach. I flew into the sea, and I tried to swim after Peter. He'd be gone before I could even get to him.
And everything went off well at the inquest. They called you a plucky girl, and you kept discreetly quiet about Hugh's part in the business.
Do you think anyone would have believed me? Besides, I couldn't. I was in love with him.
Well, it's a pretty story. And then I suppose Hugh let you down?
Do you think I ever wanted to see him again?
You certainly are an accomplished liar, Vera.
Oh, can't you see the truth when you hear it?
Who set the trap that killed Laura? I did, and Armstrong's dead. I've broken many of the commandments in my time, and I'm no saint. But there's one thing I won't stand for, and that's murder.
You won't stand for murder. What about those men you left to die in Africa?
That's what's so damn funny. I did it.
What do you mean?
For once, just once, mark you, I played the role of the hero. Risked my life to save the lives of my men. Gave them my rifle, ammunition, and all the food there was. And took a chance in the bush. By the most incredible luck, it came off. But it wasn't in time to save them. And the rumor got around that I deliberately abandoned my own men. There's life for you.
Do you actually expect me to believe that when you admitted the whole thing earlier?
Blast you!
Why didn't I see it before? It's there in your face, the face of a killer.
You can't fool me any longer. You cunning little devil.
Take one more step and I'll shoot.
You, young, lovely, and quite mad.
Like 10 little soldiers plan. My rhyme! Silence in the court! If there's any more noise, I shall have the court clear. It's all right, my dear, it's all right. You're in a court of justice. You won't get justice here. You thought I was a ghost. You thought I was dead. Armstrong had said I was dead. That was the clever part of our plan. We'd fix up my supposed death so I could spy upon the guilty one. He thought it an excellent plan. So he met me late at night by the balcony. I pushed him over so easily. He swallowed my red herring all right. You know, my dear, all my life, I wanted to take life. Yes, to take life. I've had to get what enjoyment I could out of sentencing the guilty to death. But I wanted more. I wanted to do it with my own hands. But I'm a judge of the High Court. I've got a sense of justice. As between myself and Lord, the king and the prisoner of the bar, will justice be made, my lord? Yes. Guilty. You're all guilty, you know. But the law couldn't touch you. So I had to take the law into my own hands. Into my own hands. Silence in the court! Anthony Marston first, then Mrs. Rogers, Barbertone and Bradley. Mackenzie, stabbed by Rogers with an axe when he was chopping sticks. Doped Emily Brent hypodermic. Not her hypodermic, absolutely me. Her coffee, so she wouldn't feel the hypodermic. Booby trapped for Bull. Bull was a fool. I always knew it would be easy to get him. Returning the revolver was a clever touch. It made the end interesting. I knew you two would suspect each other. The question was, who went out? I banked on you, my dear, the female of the species. Besides, it's always more fun with a woman at the end. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, I sentence you to death!
Stop! I'm not guilty! I'm not guilty!
Ah, they must stop saying that. Not guilty. Unless, of course, you're going for an all-out verdict of insanity. But you're not mad. No, I'm mad, but you're not.
You'll never get away with it.
I shall be around to find out. I shall be found laying easily on my bed, shot in the forehead, kept in coordinates, with the record kept by my fellow victims. I've thought it through to the very last detail. Ingenious it is. Using my spectacles, I will attach them to the trigger. It's elasticated, you see, taking great care to preserve your fingerprints on the revolver. I will loop the cord around the door handle, then, with the weight of my body on the glasses, the trigger will pull, the revolver will recoil, and the door will jar. Needless to say, when the sea goes down, there will come boats and men, 10 dead bodies, and an unsolved mystery on Soldier Island. But first things first.
But I'm innocent. You're a judge. You can tell when someone's innocent and when they're guilty. I can promise to you that I'm innocent.
You know, my dear, you were one of my last guests to be recruited. I was trudging the Atlantic at the time, and the sole occupants of the smoke room were myself and a good-looking young man. He had taken a considerable amount of drink. He was in a confidential, marvelous state. He told me a story. I can remember his words now. No to murders. No her, I tell you. And what's more, I was crazy about her. You wouldn't think a nice, straight, jolly girl would take a kid out to see her let it drive.
No, please.
I had to be absolutely certain. So I asked him. Suddenly sober, he thrust his face into mine. He said, she did it for me. I knew once I looked at her. During the gramophone recital, I had no doubt whatsoever. I looked at the faces of you all closely. I had no doubt whatever that you were guilty, my dear. And now look. You've killed Lombard, haven't you? How does it feel to be a killer? To be guilty? Ah, you liked it, didn't you, my dear? Prisoner of the bar, is there any reason why sentence should not be passed upon you? I can't spoil my lovely ride. One little soldier boy left all alone. He wanted to hang himself. I must have my hanging, and you must pay the crimes, my dear, for that poor innocent child you murdered. For Lombard! Yes. 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 Yes! One little soldier boy left all alone. He wanted to hang himself. Goodbye, my dear. And then there were... Wait. I'm forgetting something, aren't I? How silly of me. Wouldn't want anyone thinking you wouldn't hang yourself now,